I'll quickly mention this. The son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, Jonah Platt is the son's name. He is speaking out publicly against Rachel Zegler and blaming her for the film's catastrophic failure at the box office.
Girl, this is not just a reboot. This is the ultimate betrayal.
There's no doubt that she drove the final nail into this movie's coffin. She probably drove the final 2 or 3 nails into the coffin.
After months of watching her career spiral out of control, from press disasters to box office embarrassment to allegedly getting hit with a lawsuit from her own co-star, Rachel, Zegler just got the final slap from the very studio that once called her their next Disney princess.
So we'll guarantee no employment for little people while getting rid of this other component that warranted CGI. It was the worst decision they could possibly make.
Because Disney has officially announced a brand new live-action Snow White remake. Yes, another one. Yes, already. And no, she's not involved, not even mentioned. This wasn't just a quiet recast. This was a full reset, a clean slate power move that basically screamed, we'd rather pretend the last one didn't happen. And baby, the timing? Cold, ruthless, calculated. According to Insider Buzz, Rachel is allegedly having a full-on, emotional breakdown behind the scenes. And honestly, who could blame her? Because when Disney drops a new Snow White right after yours flopped, and they don't even call you about it, that's not just rejection, that's erasure.
These people, and this is the difference between a business owner or someone who does very well for themselves in the private sector to become wealthy. This person was born looking a certain way and has a God-given ability to lie.
Let's rewind the drama, because Rachel Zegler's journey with Snow White didn't just go off the rails. It never even made it out of the station. She was cast in what should have been a dream role, a classic Disney princess modernized. For a new generation, with a feminist spin and just enough sass to get Gen Z on board. Except, it all backfired. Instead of praise, she got backlash. Instead of applause, she got dragged online for months. For her attitude, her interviews, her dismissive tone, her now infamous "it's not 1937 anymore" line. She became a walking controversy, a case study in how fast Disney magic can turn into a PR dumpster fire, and the fallout, allegedly devastating. The merch didn't sell, the fanbase didn't show up. Even her co-star Gal Gadot allegedly turned on her, in court. And while the public dragged her to hell and back, Rachel was allegedly holding out hope that the studio still had her back, that maybe they'd rework the image, do a reshoot, give her a redemption arc. Something, anything. But now, Disney has made it very clear. We're done with her, and we're starting over.
I mean, he's totally right. Now, of course, as we covered, the movie is terrible anyway, in its own right. It was probably going to underperform regardless. People are tired of the soulless cash grab remake thing.
According to sources, Disney dropped the new Snow White announcement with no warning. No leaks, no in-development rumors. Just boom. Press release, concept art, and a new team attached. And the kicker? They allegedly didn't tell Rachel. Not a heads up, not a call, not even a "we're going in a new direction" courtesy email. Just silence. Then an announcement. Then the world finding out before she did. And according to someone close to her team, Rachel lost it. She was heartbroken, confused. She didn't understand how they could move on so fast, or why they didn't tell her first. Another insider said she was inconsolable and felt completely blindsided and betrayed. And girl, can you imagine? You give a year of your life to a role, survive a storm of internet hate, try to carry the weight of a legacy brand, and then they replace you like you were just a bad draft? That's not just Disney being business-minded, that's a breakup with no closure.
We're tired of all that. The movie has all kinds of problems that could be pinned partly on the producer. Like, the producer did not do a good job. Nobody who produced this movie did a good job.
Now, let's talk public reaction, because of course the internet had thoughts. And shockingly, a lot of people are supporting the reboot. Comments flooded in like, good. This time, get someone who actually respects the role. They should have never cast Rachel in the first place. Finally, a fresh start without the attitude. Others, though, not so quick to celebrate. Some fans, especially those who supported Rachel's feminist angle, are saying Disney threw her under the bus. They used her to look progressive and then dropped her when it got hard. They let her take all the heat, and now they're pretending it never happened? It's giving divide. But the overwhelming consensus? Disney is done with Rachel, and they're not looking back.
And that's apart from all of the political controversy started by the actress. So the movie had all kinds of problems creatively and conceptually.
Behind every reboot, there's a message. And this one, it's loud, clear, and cutthroat. We gave her a chance. It didn't work. Now we're doing it right. Because while Disney hasn't publicly said a word about Rachel Zegler's exit, they're speaking volumes with who they're allegedly eyeing to replace her, and how they're positioning the entire new project. This isn't just about casting a new actress. This is about undoing a PR disaster that still haunts the brand. And according to multiple alleged insider leaks, they've got a new girl lined up. And she's everything Rachel wasn't.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced, it was a huge...
I mean, your guess is as good as mine, ethnicity?
Trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
So who is the rumored new Snow White? Allegedly, Disney is in talks with a rising Gen Z star, someone known for a squeaky clean image, zero social media scandals, respect for classic cinema, and above all else, Obedient Branding Energy One source called her a blank canvas with a Disney-approved smile. And that's exactly what they want. No sarcasm, no feminism gone rogue monologues, no viral clips of her dragging the prince or laughing at the original movie. This new girl, she's reportedly saying all the right things in meetings. It's an honor to step into such an iconic role. I grew up loving the original Snow White. I want to bring magic and warmth to a new generation. Compare that to Rachel's. It's not 1937 anymore. The prince is weird. We're rewriting the story because that version is outdated. Yeah, it's not subtle. This reboot isn't just casting a new lead. It's casting a counter-narrative.
The people that we need to educate, the people that we need to love into awareness.
Love them in the right direction.
Yeah, because there's nothing more effective than 19-year-olds educating the rest of the voting public while yelling, "Okay, boomer."
Let's talk Disney PR strategy. Because what they're doing right now is actually genius in the most brutal way. They're not acknowledging the last film. They're not referencing Rachel. They're not calling this a sequel or redo. They're just pretending it never happened. One source allegedly said, internally, they've labeled it as a reimagining, not a reboot. That way, they don't have to address the past at all. That's not rebranding. That's corporate ghosting. They're scrubbing the slate clean so hard, it's like Rachel's version was just a weird fever dream that accidentally slipped into production. They're doing new color palette, new tone, new composer, new merchandising, strategy, and allegedly a total ban on referencing the 2024 version during future press, not even an Easter egg. Just gone, and the silence speaks louder than any press release ever could.
Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights.
Ugh.
Come on,
Okay, Cheshire Cat.
go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
Now, while Disney's prepping a new Snow White with a fresh face and a soft reset, Rachel Zegler allegedly spiraling. Again, her team reportedly had no idea the reboot was this far along. They believed there was still a shot at some kind of redemption, even if not a sequel, at least something. A cameo, a passing the crown scene, a producer credit. But when the news broke, radio silence. No offer, not even a call. And her reps? Allegedly scrambling to find out who the new lead is, block the narrative from going viral, and spin the story into Rachel was never attached long term. But babe, it's too late. The internet is already celebrating the recast. And Rachel's name is trending again, but not in the way she wants.
That she believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else.
You know what happens the second you cast a new face in a legacy role? Comparison videos, side-by-side edits. Who did it better? Polls. And Rachel is allegedly already losing the public vote before the cameras have even rolled. People are commenting things like, this is who they should have picked in the first place. Finally, someone who gets the role. This new Snow White is giving princess, not press tour disaster. The sad truth, Rachel's performance is already being erased before anyone even watches the new version. This reboot isn't just moving forward, it's leaving her behind.
In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. You took on the role. You took the job. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities.
Let's stop pretending this was random. Let's stop pretending this was a creative decision. Let's stop pretending Disney just happened to reboot Snow White within months of the original crashing and burning. No, babe, this was personal. And more than that, it was tactical. Because the announcement of a brand new Snow White didn't drop after some long evaluation period. It didn't come after a graceful rebrand or an attempt at reconciliation. It came immediately after Rachel. Zegler became Hollywood poison. And this reboot, it's not just about salvaging a story, it's about cleaning up the wreckage and burying the evidence.
And a lot of what you see with Zegler is really just this pretty common Gen Z mentality and approach to work.
According to insider sources, this wasn't a long-planned creative refresh. This reboot allegedly got fast-tracked after the original Snow White became a meme more than a movie. One production staffer reportedly said, "There was no momentum on the sequel. That died fast." But the reboot? That got greenlit within weeks of the backlash going nuclear. Why? Because Disney knew the longer Rachel's version stayed visible, the worse it got for the brand. Every time one of her old interviews resurfaced, boom. Every time she got dragged on TikTok for mocking the original, boom. Every time a clip of her calling the prince weird went viral again. Another dent in the Disney crown? And Disney is obsessed with protecting its crown. So when the PR storm didn't fade and Rachel's name started carrying more baggage than buzz, they did what Disney always does when something threatens the brand. They replaced it, quietly, strategically, completely.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is,
By the prince.
she's not going to be safe for the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming
So
about
she's gonna die.
true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
We already know they cast a new girl, but the choice wasn't just about acting skills or vocals. Allegedly, Disney chose someone with a clean slate. No political takes, no social media drama, and zero history of mocking legacy content. And internally, that wasn't just a bonus, it was the requirement. One casting assistant reportedly said, "The brief was very clear. They didn't want someone opinionated. They wanted someone who respected the story." And that tells you everything. This isn't about modernizing the character. This is about making people forget Rachel Zegler was ever part of it. And that new actress? She's allegedly already being prepped with a strict PR training package. No rewriting the princess narrative, no jokes about the original, no viral sound bites. Disney isn't just recasting Snow White, they're recasting the entire conversation.
The
Disney
original version
does.
came out in 1937,
What a
and very
timeline.
evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
Oh,
So we
what a
didn't do
shame.
that this time.
Let's be honest. There was a moment where Rachel could have bounced back. Maybe a heartfelt interview, a low-budget indie role, a rebrand tour with some strategic apologies. But now, with the reboot locked in and the narrative shifting without her, allegedly that door is gone. One insider said, "This is it. If Disney's not willing to bring her back, no one else is either." That's the harsh reality of this industry. Because when a studio as massive and forgiving as Disney decides you're too messy to manage, that signals to the rest of Hollywood that you're not worth the risk. It doesn't matter if she can sing, it doesn't matter if she's talented. What matters is that her name no longer sells safety, and in this business, safety is more valuable than star power.
I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job.
Let's talk about the branding ripple effect. Rachel Zegler is no longer just the girl who played Snow White. She's the girl who mocked the original, flopped at the box office, got sued by her co-star, got replaced within the same franchise, and now has to watch someone else take her role, with studio backing and public support. That's a brutal legacy to carry. Even if she wanted to reinvent herself, even if she got a fresh agent or moved into theater or TV, the second her name comes up in a pitch meeting, producers allegedly pause. One Netflix exec reportedly said, "She's trending for the wrong reasons. You don't build a brand off that." And they're right, because the moment your name becomes shorthand for failure, studios don't want to fix you. They want to forget you.
163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, you know, sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5. Yeah. 1.6 out of 10.
Vinny, you know
How
what that
bad
is?
is that?
Let's be real here. This new version of Snow White isn't just a different take. It's a correction. Disney isn't trying to evolve the fairy tale. They're trying to undo the damage, and by casting someone new, reworking the message, and scrubbing all traces of Rachel's version from future press, they're turning this reboot into a redemption arc for the studio, not for the character. It's them saying, that wasn't Snow White, this is Snow White. And for Rachel, that's the most public erasure of all. She didn't just lose the role, she lost the legacy. The merch, the park presence, the costume design, the storybook retellings, all of it will now reflect someone else's face. And hers will be the one they pretend never happened.
What's her friend screaming?
Wow.
And this
was
nobody was in there. Nobody
Can
was
you
in
go?
It's official. Rachel Zegler's version of Snow White isn't just being replaced, it's being deleted. No sequels, no mentions, no archived tributes, just a new actress, a new promo campaign, a new vibe, and a silent understanding that Rachel was the mistake Disney doesn't want to talk about. This isn't just about casting, it's about branding revenge. Because Disney didn't just walk away from Rachel, they're allegedly making sure no one remembers she was there in the first place.
For a living. That's really what acting is, to pretend. They didn't earn it the same way, and so it comes with this entitlement.
Let's look at the timeline. Rachel lands the biggest role of her life, goes viral for all the wrong reasons, movie underperforms, fan base revolts, her co-star allegedly sues her, and now, the role she was supposed to define has been handed to someone else more without a single word from the studio, and the worst part? The new Snow White is already being sold as the one fans have been waiting for. PR insiders are calling it a return to the magic, and the internet is buying it. It's not just a new film, it's a replacement narrative. Rachel's version is being framed, without anyone having to say it, as the wrong direction that's now been corrected. Her Snow White is now the beta test, the flop, the one Disney wants everyone to forget, and fast.
The movie went over budget, right? Went over about $250 million.
Hollywood doesn't send out emails saying you've been blacklisted. They don't tell you you're done. They just stop answering your calls. And for Rachel, that's allegedly exactly what's happening. Her name no longer holds heat, it holds risk. Producers aren't pitching her. Streaming platforms aren't courting her. Directors are allegedly asking for someone similar, but brand safe. Even projects she once had a foot in the door for, gone cold. Because when Disney, the most image-obsessed studio on earth, decides you're not worth defending, everyone else gets the message, loud and clear. If they couldn't fix her, we're not going to try. And the industry doesn't fix reputations, it replaces them.
They had the whole dwarf midget issue where they decided they weren't going to have any midget actors, right? They were having DEI-inspired magical creatures to replace.
Let's be clear, this reboot is not an olive branch. It's not a soft sequel. It's not a, maybe we'll circle back to Rachel someday. This new version is a PR power move, and Disney is using it to reclaim control of the narrative win, back fans who were alienated by Rachel's version, and prove they still know how to cast a princess who doesn't drag the story she's paid to tell. They're not rebooting Snow White. They're rebooting trust, and they're doing it by pretending the Zegler era never existed.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarves.
From now on, every mention of Rachel Zegler will come with an asterisk, not because she committed some massive crime, but because she broke an unwritten rule of legacy casting, respect the story, or get removed from it. She didn't just mock Snow White. She undermined a brand that's built on fantasy, and now that fantasy doesn't have room for her, and that's the scariest part of her fall. She won't be remembered for the performance. She'll be remembered for being removed quietly, efficiently, completely.
I'll quickly mention this. The son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, Jonah Platt is the son's name. He is speaking out publicly against Rachel Zegler and blaming her for the film's catastrophic failure at the box office.
As the new Snow White walks into her fitting, signs her deal, smiles for her first look promo shots, Rachel Zegler is allegedly sitting in the aftermath, watching someone else become the face she was supposed to be, and realizing, maybe, for the first time, that in Hollywood even a princess can be recast mid-story. The kingdom has moved on, and the crown is now sitting on someone else's head. So what do you think? Did Disney play this perfectly, or was Rachel Zegler just The wrong girl for the role from the beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this video, subscribe for more celeb chaos, and smash the bell so you never miss the next fairy tale gone fatally wrong. Because Snow White may have started with once upon a time, but for Rachel Zegler, it ends here.